Lewis.
Chief,
Hey,
glad to have you.
Thanks.
Welcome.
hey, how we doing?
Both of you, I'm so honored.
You called, so
Oh, well,
don't show up.
I'll sit by you, you're gonna be trouble, I already know that.
How you doing, sir?
Not too bad.
Steve Lewis.
Oh, Malcolm Tipton.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm taking a roll call. Steve
Oh.
Lewis,
Yes.
Matthew Armbruster,
He's absent with an excuse.
Dave Pierce.
Here.
Danielle Woodward.
Here.
Julie Kaufman.
Yep.
Steve West.
Here.
Doris Roberts.
Here.
And I'm here.
So it doesn't look like we have any citizens. I'm just making the announcement. You're happy to speak. Move on. We'll get the chief bumped up.
Oh, Lord.
And we'll spare you some of the other information that we go through here. But we appreciate you coming in. I think, why we're asking you to come, it has come up several times. How are you? Congratulations, too. That was a good,
We really
yeah,
got
we
the
got them
heat
all
on
in here, man.
tonight.
Yeah, these
Oh,
guys
all
are-
here.
Well, they got some promotions, so there's a
We
little bit
wolf
of, we've been a little bit back and forth with Paul in a good way. How do we keep the parks a little bit cleaned up, keep them safe, obviously, but what's our role? And where does our role play into your role? And we've kind of gone back and forth, so we would appreciate maybe your thoughts on where you feel the parks out there, what could be done to maybe improve or give the neighborhood a little more sense of security, but also help us identify, what as a board, what are we responsible for? And where does it fall into your area and our area? Especially when we have, that's something that's gone on for 50, 60 years in this town. We have a dawn to dusk of park being open, but then you have basketball courts and tennis courts with lights on them. So, I get it, and I don't think anyone's ever had a problem with it. So, we just would appreciate what your thoughts are and what you think we might be able to do to help support efforts to keep the parks a little bit cleaner. Charlie was just bringing up where Sunset got hammered again with some graffiti. And do you guys maybe have some better, or some newer information about security, cameras, or what you might think could help?
We have, one thing all three of us have been discussing, it got brought up from, individuals who do our cameras here for Flock, is they came out with some, what they call, I believe, Candor,
Yes.
How do you spell that?
C-A-N-D-O-R, that's a big word, I guess.
Yeah.
Condor camera?
Yeah, and, these can actually rotate and zoom in, and what we're thinking, and it's still in the stages of the process, is if we could get some of those, put them in strategic locations not only in the city, the parks would be included in this. And what my hope is the dispatchers could monitor that, so if they wouldn't be monitoring it 24/7, but they could glance over it, and all of a sudden if they see something, then they can zoom in on it and see if it actually is something to where they could dispatch units, and then we could actually get live intel. For the strategic places within the city, if we have something going on, say there's a big festival or something, those cameras could zoom in, and you say like, tonight Major Tibbs is wearing the gray shirt and the tan pants, we actually describe him, they could pick him up on camera, and as the officers would come in, they could leave the officer right in there with live intel. That's some of the process we're looking at. And another big thing is the community being involved in, if they see things out at the park, contact us, let us come in, check that out. I heard about the Sunset incident this morning in this morning's brief, is where I found out about it. And I know we've had a busy weekend. I know the detectives, they came out 3:30 in the morning, they didn't leave until noon. Cause I came in initially, went back home for a while, came back in because we had the thing over at Smith Park. So it's gonna be continual monitoring, and also for the midnight crew, when they have the slow points, to check those parks and double check those, so if we see people in there after hours, we can identify them and see what's going on.
So these cameras require Wi-Fi access to
The
use?
condors are actually, it's my understanding, and my major, correct me if I'm wrong, is those actually have to have electricity, the condors do.
Okay.
The falcons that we have stationed within the city, they work on the sunlight and everything else they can be rigged up to, but the condors do have to have electricity.
That's pretty
source.
standard. Fortunately, there's power there, okay.
We do wanna let you guys know, we understand staffing, what else you guys are doing. I do not, we're not here to, save our parks, that's not, we don't wanna be, I've always said it, we don't wanna be another layer of bureaucracy.
Well, to me, the parks are an initial part of the city. It gives a great place for the kids to go, for the family to be able to relax and enjoy their time, relax a little bit. So we need to take care of our parks. It's an outlet for the children.
So we appreciate that, but we also understand you guys are pushed with other issues, without a doubt.
So do these condor cameras, do they record, constant record?
No.
It's live feed.
Live feed?
It's live feed.
We have another meeting set up with Flock Safety, who is, doing those cameras, but from my understanding, it kinda operates like the common LPRs, but the license plate readers were stored for 30 days and then it's deleted.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. That was a quick Zoom meeting we had with them a couple weeks ago. They are expensive.
3,000 apiece.
Yeah. But
The condors or the flocks?
The condors.
Now, you said they save data for 30 days?
the LPRs do. So from my understanding, the condors operate the same way that the license plate readers that we have throughout the city, which is 30 days and then it deletes itself, unless we save it.
That would be perfect, you
as
know it.
individually.
Yeah,
Do they have sound or sound
Yeah.
recognition,
No.
like there's a gunshot or something?
No.
That would be awesome.
Um,
But they're $3,000 a
That's not
head.
technology for
Yeah.
our small city.
It requires
Looks like we
electricity.
would've needed it.
And one of the things we talked about is that Duke owns most of the power lights in the city, so I don't think Duke's gonna allow us to tap into their poles.
Duke, for Sherman, they said, what, 6 weeks? Were you on that email? For Sherman, it's gonna take 6 weeks to get that electricity back the way they need it for camera type stuff. So I would anticipate, can't quote me on this, that would be the case with any parks that have electricity that needs tapped back in. 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. What's a time frame that you guys might have to make a recommendation or have a plan? Because I know there's other types of cameras that, that are out there. How deep are you going to look at alternatives, and what would be your time frame to make a
Right now, we're dealing with
recommendation?
Flock, we got the LPRs there called the Falcons, correct? They're already in place in our city, they're actually hooked up to where the license plate readers, when vehicles are coming in the city, it's scanning those, and if they get a hit, and my understanding is inside the car, the MDTs, they'll get a ding, so they know, hey, this vehicle with this tag came into the city, and this person that signed that vehicle does have a warrant or a protection order or something like that. But when we presented this to the city manager a little bit, and we just mentioned it in passing, because we're also concerned about the development on the east end and trying to be able to utilize these cameras not only for what we have here and the parks, but also the east end. So we gotta look at that, and he is looking at that, and also the funding of that. How much that will play into the parks, we don't know yet.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know how that affects, so we have a contract with Flock Safety, and we're just adding to it, so I don't know if we need to do a new purchase order, or can we just add on to the existing contract? Really haven't figured that part out yet.
Okay.
Just that they're simply expensive, so you're talking, if you do 10 cameras at $3,000 pieces, it's a nice bit of money.
Do you have any idea how many of these cameras you would want?
One for each park. That was in our last shooting at the park.
Yeah.
That was our biggest hangup, was we could identify the shooters, but the current camera system we have at Douglas Park was unplugged. And we didn't have access to it. We don't have access to the building. But with the condors, you can live stream it, and we can do it from our desktop like we do with the other ones.
So I was gonna ask you about live streaming, because a lot of communities are just out there, for example, on YouTube, public domain for the residents to see what's going on in the parks. Do you guys have a point of view around that, live streaming it? Because in my mind, that is a way to get that many more eyes on what's going on in the park, and they could call you guys, call dispatch if they see something going on. Do you guys have a point of view about public domain?
That's something we'd discuss, well, now that you brought it up, something that we can discuss amongst ourselves and also with the city manager, see how receptive he is, and also on the legal aspect and what ramifications that may or may not have legally.
Yeah, well, a lot of communities have figured it out already, so they're out there with it, so I'm sure that's a hurdle that can be overcome. Okay.
Do you
Does the
know which-
Condor have gunshot detection?
We do not know. And I'm not sure on the specifics, and I know some cities have went away from it. I mean, there's been times, especially when it gets around the 4th of July here, that things are going nuts.
Or a car backfires, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's good and pluses on that. And then we gotta look at what the cost of that would be, and would that be the best beneficial for our city and cost effective?
Mhm.
I know from my early days working patrol, one time we heard some gunfire, well, I heard the gunfire, and the one officer go, that's firecrackers, and I'm like, no, it's not, I'm in the Marine Corps, that's gunfire, make a U-turn. And, next thing you know, we're pulling right into a shooting scene where the guy's still shooting.
Oh my gosh.
And then, the incident we had out on Main Street, we had multiple calls on that one, we responded on that one. So typically, I say our citizens are actually awake almost 24/7, because usually when they call us on these, we get some great response times. So I don't know if that would actually be beneficial to us or not yet.
So what is your timetable, ideally? And do you have an specific order of parks?
I do not have, that's something that we'd probably wanna sit down, once higher ups would make that decision that yes, we're gonna get them, then we would probably wanna come to this group right here and go, which parks do you feel need it the most? We feel these 3 should be first, and you may say, no, these 3 need to be first, and then we can discuss the why. So we can come to an equal good decision.
Okay.
And you said one camera would be able to manage an entire park?
Yeah, well, you're going to have hidden areas in a park, but it would be one camera alone, because where it can rotate to 360, if we can put it in the most strategic position to get the most coverage out of it, is what we would look at.
You can zoom them in up to like, I think it's like a half mile whenever you go to these
Yeah.
license plates, so there's.
They actually, during our Zoom meeting, took us to Texas. Like 4 or 5 blocks away, they was able to zoom in like, I'm right here to you. And I'm thinking, whoa. And then be able to go right back to normal scan. Because that was actually very impressive.
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
pertaining to lights. Do you feel like, the lights being at the park deters crime, or do you think that it brings it more?
Each one of us can answer this. Based on my experiences, light usually keeps bad guys away. And we've proven that through crime studies. And that's been throughout history. So as far as the parks, I know sometimes it gets past dusk, kids want to play the electro tennis, electro basketball. That's actually where, as officers, we need to use a little bit of common sense. If it's not interfering with other individuals' time within the community, let the kids have a little bit of fun.
So motion sensor lights would be a great idea.
Well, I think even you're talking about lights, just, you know,
In
like
general.
corners.
I mean, cause a lot of the people would
Yeah,
suggest.
I think
lights
that's a
that
good,
would-
Major Nelson, any comment?
No, and we don't do strict compliance to the
Yeah.
park,
Yeah,
at the dark kind of thing. It's kind of one of those things where if they're in there and they're doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, then we'll force the rules as it is. I don't say we need to change it, but if they're in there just being kids or just using the park, there's no
Playing
reason to.
basketball.
Yeah. No, just, when you enforce the rules of the park, it's, if someone's there doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
right.
Or a resident calls and say, these kids are over here doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
We got 2 yeses for lights.
I grew up across from Sunset. Basketball lights stayed on until 10 or 11.
Okay.
When they went off, most people left. Honestly, if they were still there after that, that's probably when we would get our calls and stuff. I think if the lights are on, they're playing basketball, no one's having around the park,
Yeah.
I think that would help.
Thank you. Cool.
I mean, because they can adjust the illumination and put screens on to help the neighbors.
Yeah.
You know, if they're getting a lot of shine off of that, and, you know, it's kind of keeping them up, we get it, but.
If we
um,
replace those with newer versions of down the road or whatever, there, at the Parks Board conference I went to, the technology on updated lights is insane. Like, you can adjust with an app on your phone.
Right.
I mean, it's insane. So, the dimness or whatever.
It would be interesting to have them like in the corner, I'm just thinking of Sherman,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, just in the corners where they're dead spots. It would be interesting to have lights.
So we got some money, and Paul's being very nice to us as far as where we'd like to put it towards the park. So Sherman Park is one neighborhood park that we're trying to get renovated, and then we're moving over to Goldman as a user park to try and help that get kind of redone.
Lights at Sherman is a good thing. That's the biggest complaint, is that there's no lights over there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that I appreciate, because,
Yeah.
I was,
And it will deter,
there's some dark corners over there.
Dark corner, there's a particular house over there that brings a lot of bad things to it,
Okay.
so the lights will kind of keep it order.
Okay. And I
If
think
you
we've
go over and
been.
talk to the neighbors, they'll tell you which house it is. They don't-
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
Irony.
yeah, oh, no, they've been more than
A neighborhood
nice to
call.
us, and I think they appreciate the direction we're trying to get it to go. But, you know, you put all that in, especially like Sunset, I mean, Ally worked her tail off to get that park back in shape after all the EPA, and, you know, to hear what Charlie's telling us is a little disheartening. But, you know, it's reality. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you guys coming. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions. You know, we just wanted to get out there with you guys.
First of all, it's nice for us to hear everybody's input on this side.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
I mean-
So as we look at Sherman Park, for example, we're gonna put a couple $100,000 just in playground equipment, right? It would be a shame if, after the first night it's in, we wake up the next morning and it's graffiti all over the
Oh, yeah.
place. And we hadn't made any provisions to deter it or
Right.
even try and catch the person that did it, which creates a really bad look stupid factor on us, like,
Yep.
why didn't you guys think of this? So that is a driving force behind this as we do other parks and some of our existing parks that have beautiful
Sunset.
equipment. Yeah,
That's
it's a
awful.
it's a
Brand new
shame.
stuff.
So our goal is to focus on cameras and lights, and you guys play a big role in that.
What we were trying to do at first is to lift the canopy of the trees and get better visibility. You know, that's the other thing I would ask, which would be helpful if you guys do see it, and I know, you know, it's tough on the parks crew because they're kind of shorthanded, but vegetation, my wife and I worked over at Gardner Park, and that one's been a little irritating to me, with the honeysuckle hedge that runs down through there. But, you know, we would appreciate that if you guys see it, I mean, that if you think something could be helped out by getting some vegetation, something that it's brought up, and we work together to just try and get that so their visibility's a little bit better and there's not a hideout. Gladell, another one.
Yeah.
You know, that one needs to be really cleaned out, because there's just a ton, I mean, we could easily spend $400,000 to $500,000 in these parks cleaning the vegetation and getting the trees lifted up and all of that. I mean, there's that much work out there.
One of the college courses I know some people have been to, and you hit on it with the lighting, is they do crime prevention through environmental design. So as you're looking at these parks to design them, the big thing is also visibility, and you talked about that, the vegetation. Initially, to me, is when you do these parks, you want some vegetation so it looks beautiful.
Right.
But you wanna keep that minimal at first, that way there's good fields of view, so people walking by with the lighting, you can see everything more clearly. So if they see something going on, they can call us and we can respond.
It makes a lot of sense. So, if you guys had like a wish list for parks, what would it be?
Which park or what to put in it?
Which, both.
Sure.
So Sherman, we're right on track on that then.
Sure, I was looking at it, like, Sherman's probably the best place to start it.
Yeah.
When it comes to cleaning up parks and making a particular area of the city look good.
Is there any big problems at Goldman, since that's where we're going next?
Not call volume wise.
Not call volume wise, but I think it's really nice because of the softball field, so it's a high use
Mhm.
park because of all the sporting events that go on there.
Yeah, and, you know, there again, you know, the vegetation that's on cliffs, we would like to get hoping to get a hookup with them and try and get them to partner up with us to get that kinda cleaned up. I know they worked over by the firehouse.
Sergeant Wilcox might be the guy we talked to, cause he's worked with them before.
Great.
Cleaned up some like homeless areas where they just left.
Yeah, I guess they're beating up the fire guy, they're getting in their cars and stuff.
Speaking of that, I mean, Sergeant Wilcox put in for a grant when it comes to the homeless in certain areas. I know like Liddell Park, we got some where there's just trash and debris left,
Yeah.
where if we get that grant, I think it's $100,000 of that grant is strictly to clean up. So that's something we could use at the park.
That'd be great.
That would be great to know.
So,
When would you know that?
Do you know when that is, the,
We submitted that about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
So that's gotta go up. What we did was, for those who didn't know, we did that Operation Bridge on May 1st and 2nd, with Hope Intervention, which worked out really well. The one gentleman from Columbus came down. He was very receptive of it, loves the way Middletown is working toward their goals. And he is so impressed that he's probably gonna open up the pocket, he's gonna try to open up the pocketbook up Columbus a little bit. But I know they got about, I think it was 7.2 million in grants floating around up in Columbus. So if we can snatch some of those to help out some of this, it would be
That'd be
awesome.
Yeah.
We gotta wait till they make their decisions, but the gentleman that was down here was definitely in favor of us. And he got to see how everything was working, so he was very impressed.
we put in for 2 different grants.
Awesome.
Well, we've been, and I would just say this, I would rally around all the departments in the city to keep chirping into Paul's ear about a grant writer. And get someone specifically on payroll to investigate where this money is. I just think I think we just lose out, and I don't wanna be greedy, but it's like, if we're not doing it, some other city's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's out there, it's floating around. So, if, you know, you get a minute, and I think if enough of us keep talking, it might, you know, get him, and I think Paul knows that, he knows the benefit, but, you know, again, it's where you spend your money. But, anyone else with questions for these?
Is there another park that needs lit up or cameras that are high risk in your mind?
Cameras and the only two we see reports about is Douglas and Sherman.
Okay.
Can I ask this, just one camera for Douglas?
That would probably require 2, I would think, across the
It's not
street. and all
3
that.
maybe, 2 in the park and then 1 over at Sunny?
I forgot about, yes.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yes. Yeah,
that's a stretch, right, to me, for one
I
camera?
think if you're looking to protect everything, then
Yeah.
yes, but as far as, when there's police reports, they only come from the one side of, by the splash pad.
Yeah.
So that's where everyone hangs out at.
I know, yeah.
But more is better.
Yeah, well, right, but I understand the cost, I just, the ability of the camera, to me, that's, I get what you were telling,
Right.
you know, that long view that could pull it in, but that's another one we left, because we got feedback when we went in there 12, 15 years ago. I mean, we caught hell for touching the trees over there, because they want shade, they want a nice canopy over there. We planted more trees than we ever have at Douglas, and, we may have actually caused a few things with, you know, obscurity and not being able to see as well, but, you know, we have engaged the neighborhood, right? We are trying to do what they would like to see done, and not just make these decisions out of 5 of us. Anybody else? We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, very helpful.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going.
I'm good.
I better out.
Thank you.
Well,
I
thank
took
you.
care of.
Thanks, Chief.
You're
Tell
welcome.
her I said
Appreciate you.
hello.
Definitely will.
You need new shirts, they're getting big.
They are. This is
Just like
13
you.
now.
She's almost as tall as me.
Can you take care of her for me? I'm not allowed to say things anymore.
I can't handle her either. Can you put her in the basement?
No, because then she's not gonna model all the
And you're
time.
more like
Maybe,
your dad.
maybe, I need,
Yes.
okay.
I think that's the tip that it said,
I see him.
signature on his email, like,
Doing
should you
okay.
change your signature on your email?
Actually, she's full every other day.
You've seen him at the Y, he's down there, yeah. I think he walks, I don't know.
Yeah, now he's probably more over here.
Yeah.
We've been past.
The thing is my theory in life is,
Yeah. I don't know why he's retired. He's like laying.
everybody knows something that I don't know.
But I was gonna put it down like
He's not, he's not supposed, he's supposed to find hobbies and do
Yeah.
something different.
They will climb.
That's how we learn.
He's an
Yeah.
idiot.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
If it's good for
Thank you.
you,
Definitely is busy.
I'm sure.
5, 6 nights or one free night.
Thank you, sir.
Come on, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, we
Well,
appreciate it.
tell Tara
We'll
hello.
talk, we'll talk later.
Thank
See
you all.
Thanks for coming.
All right, since we skipped over, just the Sherman update, anyone that was, part of council, somehow in the communication of that, it should have been voted on. It was not, so we have it on emergency for the 21st, and I wrote those staff reports and submitted those. It is an emergency, should be only just one vote, should be ready to hit the ground running next day on a PO and all that jazz, so, learned a lot in this process.
Is Jason still saying about 11 weeks from when he
Yeah,
gets
he
a check?
said, even with the 2 week, we're still on track, so it's
Okay,
okay.
good,
He
good.
thinks we'll get it before Labor Day, so, cause they have
That's good.
I guess a new install team added to what they had when he originally quoted, so that's great, even better, so even more manpower doing stuff, so
So
we
they
should.
probably get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Legos to that.
so yeah,
Okay, good deal.
cool.
So, Jerry, I don't see a total out of all this, but does that mean what used to be 228.53 for the equipment is now 186, 230.35?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then,
I did update this spreadsheet, the live spreadsheet, so if you wanted to get on there and see, it's there. I apologize, I didn't print that out, but it is updated on there with the total number. It was like 367, something like that, total project.
okay. All right, and you only picked out the items that need council approval then, on here, on these notes, and these
Yes, so
notes, this email, the rest of them don't require council approval?
if it's not over, what's the threshold?
25.
25 grand
For now,
for now, yeah.
We're gonna lift that
yeah.
to 100
Agreed.
hopefully.
Mhm.
Because 25's been around for decades and you can't do anything with 25 grand right now.
So you're going above the state 75, ORC is.
They're looking into
75,
it right now,
Mhm.
yeah, if we can go to our
Interesting.
state.
Great.
Yeah, so the ones that you see that I did staff reports for are the ones that we have to bring to council, the rest for Golden.
We're okay,
Mhm.
okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah. So, old business, there are some bullet points that we just need to run through real quick. Decisions need to be made on the following items, as far as the timeline goes. The water fountain, I know that we had talked about, waiting for that grant, to potentially apply for that grant in October, to replace the water fountain. So do we wanna just continue just to wait on that for now and just clean up what's there? And then apply for that grant that we were talking?
Or fix it and then put it somewhere else,
Yeah, couldn't it go to Goldman?
or a different park even.
Yeah.
Could we move a water fountain if we update it?
You mean, install the bottle refill station, or like the one that's in Sherman now, just take it out?
Take it out and we replace
Replace
it with
it.
something more modern, but you take the one that we remove and put it somewhere at another park.
We could always keep it as inventory, because if something gets broke or damaged, we use them as parts, so we could always
Okay.
reuse a fountain, so.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, is wait see if we get that grant and.
It works there, right? I mean, it's on.
Okay.
Who knows?
Steve's, Lewis's favorite topic, concrete wall and step removal. What do you wanna do about that?
Okay, so I'm trying to work through, a gentleman that I don't think will charge us anything to just come down and explore it. Because again, but he's in the same business I'm in, and we're focused on our living, and calming people down. So we'll try and get to it. At this time, if we were to do something like that, and for the renovation of the turf, not to get all nerd here, but fall seeding would probably be best, because I don't wanna go down with sod. So we would go in and seed at the end of August. So there's a little bit of time that we can play with. I know the goal here is Labor Day. But, you know, I just think it's one of these things where wherever it shakes out, and then if the board wants to put money towards it, then that's just what we do. Or we wait even until November, December, and do it more as a winter project, so it's not mucking up the rest of the summer for everybody over there. So that's
That's not bad.
That's,
So
I
we-
like that idea.
We could
Yeah.
do sod then very quickly, and it would heal in really well and get over with, so. But I still would like to play around with it, because it's the estimate that someone's gotta give, because I have to give them a little bit of room. I mean,
Yeah.
this could be a little bit of time and material, you don't know what you're getting into, and how clean it's gonna come out, Charlie knows that, and all that. And it's a little bit of a project.
If they decide that it's, you know, Rudy and all that, and you decide not to do it because of that, I mean, the option 2 is just repair the little wall?
I
And I'm
mean,
just asking.
My thing would be, how do I say this nicely? I would just say, look, it's falling apart. And I think Charlie would, not to put words in his mouth, but I would think you would also agree. Okay, where do we start patching this thing, right? Where does it make sense to patch it? What I'm trying to get around to what you're doing, right? I mean, if we don't touch it, it starts falling over, then it's just gonna be in front of our face, or somebody's face, that they're gonna have to do something with it.
Mhm. I know there's parts of it that are okay, and then there's other parts that are really crappy, you know, and
Right.
chunky and all that. I just wondered, I said,
Yeah.
that's your option too.
And I
you
would
can't
hope,
do
and
it.
I would hope, once spring calms down and everybody, we can all take a breath, usually that's the end of June, 1st of July, then we can maybe get over there seriously. But I have hopes with him. I just got him wrestling down real quick, and he's a pretty good operator. You know, I'm willing to go do it, but I really don't feel like spending a bunch of money on it. I don't have a mini hoe, and that's what you kinda want. A certain type of equipment is really important. You have to have one that the actual boom swings, because the way that's gonna have to be dug out, you're going to have to be on top and be able to maneuver just the boom and get over your tracks over the wall a little bit. So it's a little tricky, because all that has to come out from the back end. And then you can start to see what you have to do as far as lifting the wall off of what I'm sure is a footer, a poured footer. And if it's built like anything else was built in the 1920s, you're gonna need frickin' explosives. Right? So,
So
something to probably get it loosened up.
So we wanna table it till July's meeting?
Yeah.
And revisit it?
Sure.
But it is possible to, I mean, and if it were patched, is it something that might last 5 years and then have to be redone again in 5 years, or?
I don't know. You gotta find somebody that would wanna do it, you know? I don't know. Don't have an answer for that.
I'm just
concrete
asking.
guy. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm a little hesitant in even going that direction. I would act like I didn't hear that jokingly, in the sense of, I'm really pushing to get it out of there.
Oh, I understand that.
You know,
I mean,
but-
if you decide when you get in there, it's pretty much your decision when you take a look at that and you decide, oh, Lord, this isn't gonna work.
No.
That's just my thought, what's option 2?
Yeah, what's the alternative, and you have it's a very good point, you know, it's, you know, in a residential setting, and any commercial setting, we would be removing that and putting another wall in, or shaping the ground differently,
Okay,
you know.
That's all, I'm just asking.
It's not safe, but it's also not 10 feet tall,
No.
right? So if it does fall over, if a piece falls off, I'm guessing not too many people are gonna get hurt, but no, it's definitely something I'd like to see changed.
So what would be our recommendation, thoughts around, there is a section of this wall that blocks the walking track that we've approved for this project to link the two streets, right?
Correct.
There is a portion of this wall that impairs the linkage of
Correct.
that
Where?
on Sherman.
On Sherman side. So we're going from Wayne to Sherman. The wall goes clear to the end of the property.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
But
so
that-
what you're saying, it,
Well, what I'm saying
Has
is,
to
if
be
a
cut
kid's
out.
on a bicycle, or some mom's
Yeah.
pushing a stroller.
It's not a step.
It's not a step, they're
Ramp
stopped.
up.
Yeah. Is that what you do? Ramp?
Mhm.
You put a ramp?
Well,
in?
there's a
That-
ramp
that
in there
I
now,
would
isn't
consider a
there?
ramp
Mhm.
before I would a
It's
step.
behind the backstop.
Oh, behind the
Behind the
back.
backstop all the way
Yeah,
to
because
Sherman.
I would think we would come, if you can envision it, I would think we would be 4 to 5 feet off the backstop, no, 6 feet off the backstop,
Right.
the inside part of the walk, facing, going towards the park. Then what did we agree on, 5 foot width? Is it 5 foot width path,
Yes.
Charlie? Is that what we
5.
kinda said?
Yeah.
So there's the backstop, so then you come off the backstop about 6, 7 feet.
see what you're saying,
There's the
but
path,
that
right,
is-
there's the path, here's Wayne, there's Sherman, but literally, like, there's the property line.
I see what
The
you're
wa-
saying.
Yeah,
I was thinking the
That's
other
okay.
end, and
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, yeah.
where? There's not a problem there.
right.
I got it.
And I've gotta talk to that guy, that neighbor, he's called me again, and I've tried to hook up with him. He wants to explain to me, Charlie, and I may ask you to be there with me, because he's like trying to give me definition, and really there's more of the park property on what people consider his property. And I kinda blew him off, because I feel like I'm a little out of my wheelhouse to be representing property issues. So I'll try and get hooked back up with him. He's a hard guy to get a hold of, and the house has had nothing done to it, but he's kinda treating it like a mansion, and I get it, I get it, I get it, I get it. So we would have to take that corner off, Dave. I would suggest we take the corner off, that's not a huge problem. That really isn't.
Okay.
And I would think, now, Charlie, you guys said you would pour, we have you guys pouring the sidewalk, that between
A few
Wayne?
patches, yeah, the 5 or 6 patches. Now, we're putting asphalt, the walking path.
Right, okay. So I think that could be cut, that section could
Could
be
be
cut.
cut out.
Yes, that can be done, that's not a
Okay.
huge deal. I
So we
mean,
could do that now, I mean, like, before fall. I mean,
Well-
like, if you decide to do the thing later,
Yes.
that could be done.
I'm saying that out loud, I'm not trying to correct Charlie, but yes, I would think that would be
Okay, just
easy,
asking.
easy enough to do, but it's a point that has to be brought up, because, it has to be safe to get on and off of it.
Yeah. Good, thanks.
Bike rack?
So bike rack, you guys have samples of what Jason and I discussed, what he recommended. He'll need to get with you, to figure out placement, because it needs to go into either bolted or actually go into the ground. So working that out. I think the best value is this one up here, because it's got the most slots. I looked over at Sunset. Sunset has something similar to this green one, but doesn't have this stuff in the middle, a bunch of black ones.
They just
Like-
have loops, it's all
Right,
loops.
Right, so it looks like this, but it's black and it doesn't have this stuff in the middle of it, and he has a number of them. I've never seen somebody at Sunset use those, so it seems like an awful lot of them for,
They have 3 different bike racks, actually 4 different bike racks.
and I go over to Sunset a lot to walk, and I don't ever see anybody using them, so I didn't wanna overthink this, but it's up to you guys, what you think.
Danielle, do you see a lot of bicyclers around the park?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of kids riding bicycles.
Do you think kids would use that, or do you think they'd continue to put them on the ground?
I don't know. I mean, they're not there, so I can't really tell if they would use them or not, but I do know people do ride bikes over there.
Yeah.
My son being one of them, and I know sometimes they'll leave their bikes down to play basketball.
Right.
I'm sure they're worried about getting stolen, but there's no other
Yeah, they
option
don't
for
wanna be far
them.
away
Yeah.
from it.
Well, if they had one, you never know.
Yeah.
Right,
I think if
right,
they had
right.
one, they
I
would use it.
definitely think we should put one over, so
Yeah.
value-wise, see, this has all those slots, I think for the value, that's mine.
You
Like
could put a bike,
this one here.
3 bikes on the one, or
You
they
could-
could fit 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
One,
6,
two.
7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Is
a
it
pretty
six?
big one.
Yeah.
For the
Why wouldn't we
Seven.
use the one like they had at Sunset?
We could, it's just a lot more, I mean, you're looking at, for individual,
What's the expense?
so it's like, this one's 500 and something just for one.
Well, I know, but I know what this is like because I've seen that, I mean, and it's much bigger than what's at Sunset.
Right.
I mean, so it wouldn't be like 5 of these, it would be individual ones. So do you have any idea what the cost for the ones at Sunset?
I don't, do you?
I do not.
I can find out.
Well, so we're pouring a pad, correct?
When originally we talked about 2, I wonder, well,
I would advocate for 1. I would just say we get 1.
We can always add later down the road.
And if it's a hit, then we will do what we can to stay on top of it. I mean, I lean more towards, over to the left, the 675 one, but I'll support the 7 slot, but I'm advocating for 1. Cause it's not that I'm sold on it, I just think kids are buying, I mean, I don't get my bike done all the time, I never put it in the stand, but I want, I mean, it's nice to have one, I'm not saying not to have it. But even a couple extra $100, I'd rather go prune a tree right now than.
So do you wanna
Have a
table
bike.
it, or do you guys wanna decide on?
I think we need to get this decided on.
So you tell me what.
Charlie, would you prefer the surface mount or this mount where this pole goes? I guess it goes down in the ground. Which do you prefer?
Probably the bolt down,
the what?
Molded.
the bolt.
So like the green ones?
Put a couple anchors in the concrete.
Yeah.
Does the tire go through that? Is that how that works? The front tire goes,
I don't know how these, you just pull up to the, you're supposed to
just
just
kinda
pull-
get it
yeah,
on the side?
tie it up.
So I would recommend we have Jerry just look at some more designs that have the flat bottom that you can bolt down.
Okay.
And we'll approve an amount up to, what, $1,000, just so.
Okay.
Is there a way we could get creative with the shelter pad? And have it come off a corner, make a corner a little wider or bigger? But we would have to grade the ground up, because it was gonna be a 4-inch, 5-inch pour, I hope, I wish, for the pad. But is there something we could pull off of one of the corners? I wouldn't put it on a side, because then you're definitely keeping traffic from going in and out. I'm just bringing it up. So if we're doing a bolt down, because you're gonna have to have concrete pour.
Yeah.
And if it's by the shelter, by the basketball court, by the playgrounds,
So you
that's
can
as
do,
close as you can get.
you can do 2 sonotubes in the grass somewhere.
2 what?
Yeah.
Sonotubes, it's just 2 long, tubular, concrete,
Okay.
Pre-poured.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, you pour, you put the sonotube in there, pour the concrete in.
Got you.
Put your
Got it.
anchors in.
So, but, I mean, I'm suggesting it stays kinda close to the shelter,
Yeah, makes sense.
and where the basketball court is, like Danielle said, they wanna keep their eye on it.
So,
I was thinking more down towards the end of the, because isn't this gonna be a larger playground area? And closer, like maybe between the basketball court and the playground. But
I
it
think
really
it's,
doesn't.
I think it's all relatively close, we're all staying on the west side, on the west end. So, I mean, proximity to the basketball court, the shelter, I'm not completely, keep it at the shelter, but down on that end is fine. So what do you wanna do, Dave? We just find another one?
Well,
you're motioning for $1,000 budget,
up to,
not to
up to,
exceed.
yeah, not to exceed $1,000 and give Jerry some leeway to look at the face.
Okay.
Charlie and I will look at that.
And can you check out the cost of the ones at Sunset?
Yeah.
If we want to stay consistent with what we have.
Cameras?
Kind of already went over that. Working on a timetable for that with Troy as well, but with this new information from police, I'll have a conversation with Troy tomorrow. for soccer goals.
Well, hang on, before the cameras, I wanted to ask, I didn't wanna ask with them in here. On the cameras, would that be our expense or is that city expense?
Troy is covering the cost of the cameras. Yeah, so
I mean, I
that's-
didn't wanna bring it up, cause I thought,
Yeah.
I didn't wanna
He-
make a
for-
deal about it.
For Sherman, he for sure said that he would cover the cost
Wow.
of the cameras. So he just needs electric, which we're working with Duke, the 6 to 8 weekly.
I heard
on
you say that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know about the expense, cause I thought if that's something, you know, if it's a $3,000 hit, you know, and it needs to be spread out, like, we're gonna do these, so
We-
many this year, maybe the next year we would do this many, add this many, and maybe the next year we would add this many. I was just thinking ahead about like a budget for
So the
future.
only cost Troy's not sure of is it's approximately for the internet over there to get it, it's $1,200 a year. That's nothing, if you think about it. We just need
But
long-term.
Those cameras don't need internet.
Correct, which is why I said, now that I have that information, I can go back and talk to Troy about that to kind of.
He's looking at the conduits, right?
I don't know which.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is. I think it
Cause
was
he might wanna talk to
PD and figure
PD,
out
so that, cause they,
not-
depending on what system he's going with, it depends on who has access to it. You know,
Right.
if dispatch is looking at the flocks already, you know.
And he may be thinking too, something temporary until they get the blocks in, I don't know, till I mean, that's new information to me, so I was gonna have a conversation with him tomorrow, I'll talk to him about it, if you guys are okay with that.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool, plan for soccer goals, I know I emailed you what your thoughts on that were.
There's a couple of options, but to me, none of them sound good. You know, an anchor and a cable, but then, you know, it's a trip hazard, it's there, you know. Permanent mounting them, which I know you don't wanna do that either, because some other event might, be out there or it interfere with baseball.
I mean, do we really need them? I mean, it's great to have them, but do we really need them?
The whole idea of the thought that I was having is that, you know, with the kickball or baseball, like down here at this end with the backstop, going this way, that, you know, if you put soccer goals in here, at least if you get them there for the first few years, and maybe they don't last past 2 years, at least the people that live there get the idea that, hey, we can play soccer this way, and you can still have a little kickball, softball, baseball going on at the same time. And it wouldn't interfere if they were, you know, if you were dividing the actual field in half. And so I guess that was my thought of just giving them an idea, you know, cause I've never seen anybody there play soccer, like just to, you know, if you set it up that way and said, here's some nets, you can do this, and maybe some of the teams, you know, with the kids that are playing say or whatever, maybe they would say, hey, we could do a little something over here in this park, or, you know, parents could do that and use it. But I don't know what you use to secure yours to the ground.
Metal stakes, seat, have a seat at the top. The problem with those are they easily get pulled out of the ground, stolen like they were 2 weeks ago. But it's because we're at that park all the time during soccer season that we can quickly go and repair those and try
Right.
to make it safe. This is out on an island, and it's not gonna get that level,
I would.
No, I know, I was just asking how you did it.
just the stakes.
I would
Just the
suggest
stakes.
that we get the park open. We've got a ton of stuff going on. I would say we get the park open, and while we're there, I'm sure we would like to be there when we have a grand opening and bring up the conversation, hey, ask a few neighbors, would you guys use some soccer goals down here? And if the conversation gets started, then we look at it. I would not put a lot of time in this right now. That's just my 2 cents.
So we
And
want
move on.
How much do they cost? What's your average cost, Dave? I mean, of course, yours are bigger than what would be needed in something like this.
I don't have a good sense for that. I haven't bought those. I don't get involved in buying that set. 5,000 a set, 3,000 a set.
That sounds even higher than what I was, I wasn't thinking about setting up something that was tournament worthy. You know, just something to be setting up, say, hey, here's something that you could do here. So,
One thing to think about with soccer there at Sherman is if they're kicking the ball and they miss the goal, depending on where they have it, it's gonna go the street. And then the
You know,
kids
that's
are
why I
going
was going the other direction.
down. The up and down. Yeah.
Yes, same direction as the street.
Another thing I can think of is those goals that typically have two ends that have holes, or you could drill holes in those goals and just lag bolt them down into a
A footer or
concrete.
something, yeah.
As small as a form as possible, and you
Yeah.
lag bolt it down tight enough, because nobody's typically carrying a ratchet with them
Yeah.
when they go to a park.
Knock on wood.
And if you put that concrete flat, flat to the ground, or seat it down a little bit
Yes.
below the ground, then it may not be such an impairment for somebody doing something else. That's the only thing I thought of.
And that was an option that I did think of, but it's, what,
I mean, I know
how
this
are
is-
you wanting these put in, permanently, if you're pouring a footer,
Yeah.
you're mounting them down permanently, that's a whole different thing than just saying, we're putting soccer goals in them, but they're still gonna be mobile.
And how pain of a butt would it be to mow around it?
Yes, mowers are gonna try to move it, just
They're
by
gonna
pushing
hate
it
it,
with the
yeah.
mower.
I don't know if these are like professional grade or whatever, but I mean, Amazon has them for $40.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking
But
more
I'm
along
not
the
saying
lines.
that's perfection, okay, I don't know the.
Yeah, I was on that line more than Dave's. I wasn't thinking 5,000. I was thinking more along the lines of just
Got a
something.
net.
But can they hang from
It
that,
could be,
crawl
I
on
mean, it could
that?
be one of
No,
those
it's the whole
scenarios
thing.
too that.
Training
if-
net's full.
Something like that, I mean, I know it's not super expensive, so maybe it's one of those scenarios that someone that lives over there owns the fact that they'll just get something like that and bring it in and bring it out.
But if they don't know, it's almost like somebody has to show me that, hey, this can go in there. This is something we can do here. It's like adding something new. It's just a new facet for the park. That's all I was trying to think. Hey, we can play kickball or baseball over here. Now we can also do something different at this end. We've got all these things at the far end, it's easy to figure out what to do there.
Yeah.
What can we do at this end? And it's huge. It's got a great play area. But it's just nice to show people, everybody's got, it might not be a real soccer ball, but they might have a kickball they could take over there, and there's nothing wrong with using a kickball,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
play around in. It's a park. That's what they should have.
So, what do you guys wanna do?
I say you table it till.
Table it till we get the park
Till the
open?
park gets open and we get some feedback.
It's fine.
Okay, let's go back to the bike racks. You motioned for the $1,000, it needs seconded.
Seconded, and is there any discussion about it? If not, call the roll, please.
Steve Lewis,
Yes?
Matt Armbruster, Dave Pierce.
Yes.
Danielle Woodward.
Yes.
Julie Kaufman.
Yes.
New business? Jerry, would you like to tell us about your trip to Dublin?
Yeah, so I got invited to come up to the Women in Leadership in Dublin, Ohio. It was really a time for women in what I do to pour into each other. It was a lot of self-care conversation at the actual conference, but then a group of us went out and toured Dublin and some of the parks and whatnot. It is gorgeous up there. They have a lot of really good uses of parks, and they have two, I don't know when the last time you went up there, but close to the community center. Their community center is insane. There's two stage areas. One's more that they use for like plays and things like that, and the other is where it's like the seating goes up and the stage is down. So that was really cool. And then across the street was more of like a concert venue type of stage, which was more on the same level. So just that kind of stuff was really awesome. Beautiful playgrounds. The gal that I was touring around with talked about how if they could redo it, they would figure out more in their sustainability budget on how to care for them better. So I thought that was it looked beautiful to me, but,
The maintenance nightmare?
the maintenance
Calls.
nightmare, yeah, so that's what they're figuring out that debacle right now. So that was very telling, so.
It all looks good when they first put it in. It always looks good when you first put it in.
Right.
And then you gotta go back the next month.
Right, exactly. So
All it
just-
takes is money.
Right, so they're creating new plans for that kind of stuff too, so that was.
I think it would be interesting if that group would go to a city that did not have that
Yeah.
and come to a city like ours where parks are in disrepair.
Yeah.
And need some help, and you would address that instead of going right to the top of the line.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but we've all been there, right? We've all been to nice towns for a convention and da-da-da-da-da and all that, but, you know, it might be interesting if you would suggest that to them, that they
Yeah, come visit.
come to Middletown or Zanesville or any town that's just kind of, you know,
Yeah.
lost a little bit of its income and is trying to find itself
Yeah,
again.
definitely.
But we appreciate you going up there.
Yeah.
That was a great time. Good networking. I feel like I have counterparts I can call now. and that was always
I applaud you for going to these. I don't think that has been done for a while. I think it took a recreation, person that was in charge of recreation to go to something like that. So I think it's important you go and network and hear what's going on in other communities.
Yeah.
Doris, Earth Day?
Well, I think it went pretty well. We're gonna end up with about 165 volunteers total. Shook Construction, I don't know if you guys got over to the community side of Douglas Park, but they did a great job on the shelters. They replaced a lot of wood and fixed the roofs and painted the 3 shelters and chipped 2 of the play toys there that are down in the fenced-in area in a day. Thanks to Charlie buying the paint for us. So they did a great job. The Cleveland Cliffs showed up and they went to Damon Park and painted the shelter and all the picnic tables and shipped the 3 toys that hadn't been shipped in several years. And then Cliffs also went to Smith Park and painted 2 of the shelters. And we had lots of groups show up the day of. Holy Trinity was out there picking up trash. They had 10 people. Liberty Heights had like 16 people. And between them and Danielle and her fiance JD, all the picnic tables at Damon and on the community side got painted. Trash got picked up. And
Thanks.
with between Cliffs and volunteers like Shirley Betts and my crew, 20 to 25 tables at Douglas got painted. We picked up about 80 bags of trash. And let's see, Prism had 18 people in Old South, and they did graffiti removal and painting of benches and fix up their flower beds and fix their fountain and stuff. Steve and his wife went to I'm having a brain. Gardner Park, and they did it. Steve did a great job on the trees there.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, CBI had an Earth Day, like the day, maybe the Monday after, and they cleaned up their community gardens and had about 20 people. And then this Thursday, Avure Technologies on South Verity is gonna have 20 people out picking up that area. They're down close to Coven and that old cemetery and
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
And so we're giving them, of course, vests and stuff, and they'll have about 20 people out. So, the only, Amazon was supposed to have 25 people, but because of rain, we had to cancel, and somehow their staffing is like they have both crews in on Wednesday, and we had to cancel on Wednesday, so we didn't get so many people from them. And, excuse me, the person that does the atrium was out on sick leave, so they weren't out. That's for next year, we'll get them begin next year.
Sure.
So I thought it turned out pretty well, got a
Yeah.
lot done, a lot of painting. Couldn't have done it without Charlie and and the Parks crew delivering all the chips and buying the chips and the paint. We provided, paintbrushes and all the tools for that, and the containers for the paint, everything.
Do you, and I'll get moving on, because this is more for your board to talk about, but did you feel, not to knock on it, but do you feel the weekend before with the citywide cleanup, did it distract from the Earth Day cleanup?
No, I don't feel like
Okay.
it did, not at all. And that was a big success too. I mean, they had to stop it early. And they got a lot of tires. They got like 2 or 3 dumpsters full of tires.
Like 4 or something.
Yeah.
And Ally did plant a coffee tree. It's not a coffee bean, I asked.
Kentucky coffee.
Kentucky coffee tree.
It does not produce coffee, I already
Where did
asked.
she plant it?
At Smith Park, when you go, you know where the 4-way intersection is? To the left, right there.
Okay.
It's right there.
I know my group was real thankful for the vests. That was nice, so we
Yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah, we'd like for you to be seen when you're out there, and I appreciate you bringing these forms back to me too, thank you. very
Nobody
much.
whined about it, I thought, oh my God, they're gonna whine. Not one person whined, they all
Great,
signed.
great. And next year, when you're out there, just let me know, if we provide t-shirts next year, you know, a little bit early, so we can be sure and provide everyone.
We go about 4 times a year, so we'll be back out in 2 months.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you sent me the dates.
Yeah, we got the dates.
That's great.
We appreciate it.
Congratulations.
We like to, I like that the park board is at least, you know, knowing of what you're doing and that we try and keep good communication. You know, keep Middletown beautiful is important to me, especially, I mean, just a lot of history, and Della Ewell really got a really good group, and Doris has kept that going.
Thank you.
And I am going to try to raise some money for a tree giveaway this fall. I've got a couple.
I had a conversation a little bit too with Ally to try and understand where that's going. So. Anything else, Doris?
No, that's it.
So I talked to Dave, and he was pretty emphatical, and I agree with it, that we don't lose momentum, that we do start dipping our toes over in Goldman. And so, as he does so well, he put together, you know, a list here of some of the do's and what we think needs to get done over there. So maybe applying some names to this throughout our group to help start the process, was pretty important. It's gonna go quick, right? Summer's gonna go really quick, and we're also trying to benefit Midway. A real quick topic was the bleachers. So we had spoken to Greg Schwarber about, you know, what would you like to see when we were at his meeting, I believe it was, at the Midway meeting, and he was like, we're desperate for bleachers, and they are over there, right? We got center blocks. Go ahead, Charlie, please.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The bleachers have been ordered.
Great. So that was kind of what we, as the money for parks, we felt that was one thing. We asked Greg and the group, hey man, what do you need? And so they were like, bleachers. That would really help us. Now, they also received some grant money through the Middletown Community Foundation, I believe, which they're applying for, maybe $5,000 of that to these bleachers as well, which will help our cost, what we're giving to them. And we appreciate it, because we don't want them to be sitting out there, but again, I just know how motions take a while sometimes to get the process. Since we've given, probably tripled your job, your work, what we've been doing, Charlie, we appreciate your help. So Dave, do you want to go through
Sure.
this, just in case there's questions and your thought process?
Sure.
Please.
Let me ask you, Charlie, the bleachers that you ordered, is the expectations is that it would come out of the dollars here allocated to this,
Yes.
park? Okay.
I think it was 16,000.
I was gonna say, didn't we approve that at the last meeting? We had a up to list.
I had kind of mentioned it, but it was a special meeting and we weren't allowed to talk about it.
Oh, that's right.
I did
That's
bring it
right.
up
But we were
because-
not, that's right, because we didn't do an up to for that one.
So
But they were needed so bad that.
Yes.
We just went ahead and get them
Sure.
here.
So 16's the total cost for all of them?
It's closer to 17, 16, 8, something.
How
like
many
that.
did you get for that?
12.
And how long are they?
These are 15-foot long, three steps.
3 high?
Anything higher than that, you have to have side rails,
Right.
and that puts the price way up.
Okay, so they have 4,000 to contribute to that.
And this is 2 for each field, not counting the little small field, but we've had to take out 4 of the bleachers in the last few weeks because they were so damaged and just unsafe, so.
Yeah, great, okay. So I would say that this list here may not be all-inclusive, but it's a list to get started. And it does not indicate an indication of a commitment, or this is what we're going to do. I maybe could have picked better adjectives here to lay this out, but I think it is things that we need to go about evaluating the appropriateness of it at that park, including what the ultimate cost will be as well, to see how all of this stitches or fits together. So it's not an indication of this, we're doing this and that, or, this is a commitment to do any of this. I think we need to evaluate all of these items here and figure out what would we do and what would be the cost of it. And so as I look at the playground equipment, the only thing I didn't write here is handicap needs. That does, because I'm thinking about, there's the handicap ballpark there. I am not familiar with where there might be handicap playground equipment elsewhere in the
Lefferson.
community.
Yeah, Leverson has
all-
huge.
It's all handicap accessible.
Okay, so would that mean that we may not need to go down that path for?
I think it would be great to have some, especially with the special needs playground there, it'd be awesome to have
Something.
Okay, so-
something.
There are
so
two
you've
swings
got-
there now, right? Aren't there
Yeah.
just two swings? There's not a whole lot of space there.
Okay, so this is just a high level, so we
Yeah.
say yes, evaluate it.
Okay.
We're not here to figure out what the what, it's just, we need to
Look at plans for
evaluate.
that.
Yeah, and so we need to go through this and see who is interested in owning each of these, individual line items here, or a couple of people could partner up and own, the whole playground equipment, which includes the handicap needs. And gets just started on evaluating, what does that playground look like? What should it look like at Golden?
Am I allowed to
Yeah.
do that? Yeah, I would love to do that.
I'm sure Jason has like go-to, stuff that.
Steve, I got you at the tree canopy. You're already well into your way there.
And very quick, I would say we're at around 7,000. Just, that's ballparking. Very, very quickly, Jerry, I do have, when I went over for some opening day games, I did stop down at the Dreamcatchers with a parade. I ran into Michelle, I forget her last name, I apologize, but she's super good contact, she has been embedded in there, I know you've got some people you know.
Yeah, it's that, Michelle's actually Laura's sister, I know them both.
So, just,
Faulkner.
Yeah,
yeah, I would like to maybe, and, sorry, Dave, but I would like to have that group, we should
Okay.
probably have the group
okay,
stopped in.
okay.
And let them know what we're thinking, and I'll just get right to the point. If there is a piece of equipment, I would ask them.
Yeah.
They've had to have researched it.
Yeah.
Not to belabor on this, but I would say, is there a piece of equipment a playground
Bring in
equipment we
here?
could
Yeah.
get if there's room?
So have them come in, to the June meeting?
Yeah, I think sooner the better.
Okay.
One little caveat to that is that, they are giving up ownership of the, Field of Dreams to Midway.
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Right.
their son, he's in his 20s now, and they just said they've invested a lot of their life and time into that, and,
So there's not gonna be a Field of Dreams anymore, or they
yeah,
gonna?
but Midway will be.
Running it, okay. But what a good legacy for them to still speak into it now as they go.
Yeah, I
And
would,
they.
I would still like to have them come.
Yeah.
And I
I'll
think
reach
that,
out to them.
because they're going to have participants over there.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
Dave.
That's okay, no,
Yep,
that's,
yep.
And their knowledge is valuable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't think this basketball court is in as bad a shape as what we encountered at Sherman, but there are some issues with the basketball court. I don't know if we wanna have those same guys come that looked at the other court at Sherman to see.
Just the repair.
The
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
or just the repair? Do you wanna contact
I
them?
can do that.
So equipping the existing shelter with, probably needs updated tables and a grill, that should be pretty easy to take care of. That shelter's in pretty good shape, to me it appeared, but
Do you mean have Jason just look at tables too? Okay.
Since there is a handicap field there, I think we ought to look at some, handicap picnic tables.
Yes. Yep, and Jason does have those.
oh, okay.
I thought they had some tables on the pad.
They do, but they're not handicap accessible,
Where
where
they
they
can just
can
wheel
roll
right
up to
up.
them.
They're not?
They're the old kind.
Right.
Okay.
I know what you're talking
Good
about.
catch.
Yep.
Mhm.
They just have like a missing area where you can put a wheelchair up
Okay.
there, where the bench is.
So do we have a second grill laying around the barn? Can you find one?
If not, they're
Quarters?
yeah, they're.
Okay.
There's one at our boosters.
Not to put something else on him, but I mean, I think we could go with a secondary grill, right? And then talk to Jason about tables.
Okay. Cap tables. May wanna look at, a walking track at this park, but certainly that would entail a deeper conversation with Midway to see if they plan on moving any of the fences around or any changes that they expect in the near term out there to move the field or, like I said, widen it or move it. Cause we don't wanna do anything and have them say, hey, wait a minute, we got plans for moving these fences back.
So Steve, do you wanna talk to them since you?
Yeah, I'm happy to, yeah. I mean, I've gotten a really, Greg and I have, yeah, it's been nice to get to know him.
Yeah.
And he has a real cause out there.
Charlie, I suspect you got the sign already covered or already
Yes.
working on that.
Yeah.
As well as the repair on the existing building. I mean, we wanna make that a part, obviously part of this project as well, right?
Yes.
So is that moved forward anywhere, or is that?
They're small, we've replaced the doors that had rusted through in the back, we've replaced all the locks on the exterior, having new lights put inside Wednesday. So, looking at, I did have a couple bids to have some masts put up on each end of the building with lights that'll shine out onto the basketball court and the front and the back.
Parking lot. Okay.
So we're putting all that together with the repaving and striping as well?
Yeah, I have money encumbered for the small lot right next to the building.
Okay.
But the big lot in the back, that's gonna be a lot of money. The city would be able to do it, our guys would be able to do it, it's just gonna be the cost of the asphalt. I've not figured that out yet.
So when you say that, you're talking about not the small lot,
The big one on?
you're talking about the one back by Diamond 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that needs to get repaved, or does that just need to get sealed?
It needs repaved.
It does.
When's the best time to do that, do you think?
Probably when they're done playing ball.
So fall?
Yeah. I would just put a 2-inch cap on top of it, overlay,
Okay.
repair the worst spots, and then just overlay the whole thing. It needs defined parking. You know, we're gonna paint the 2 lots out front also. So that'll help a lot with getting the maximum number of vehicles in. Because right now, people will pull in anyway in the back.
Yeah.
Like Steve said before, once one guy pulls in the wrong way, it's a domino effect for everyone else.
So you think there's a chance out there, there's that other land that sits between that parking lot and the fire station?
That's Cliff's.
They own that? So there's, okay. Cause I keep thinking, with that firehouse going down, wouldn't it be cool? If you can include that and then make the walking path even bigger. I mean, that would be a fabulous thing to, loop it down that way. But if Cliffs owns that,
I'm almost sure they own it, I'm pretty sure we do.
Is that recently acquired?
No.
Was it under?
But
AK?
what I heard was Cliffs gave that land for the fire station.
so does the city own that property? Or is that just a temporary thing from
There's
Cliffs?
probably a deed restriction.
Yeah, I'm
on
not
it.
sure how that
Cliffs
was-
was really,
it
or
was,
AK back in the day was real big on deed restrictions, so, but we can check into that.
So is there a conversation we need to have to see if we could attach that to the park, or are we not interested in that becoming a part of the park?
They might not be interested in having this part of their park, but, or maybe not.
If we're gonna engage them into that sponsoring something of that park of any way, shape or form, that may be the time to have that conversation with them.
That would be an interesting part, to say, would you be interested in, you know, man, even their people
Well,
could use it.
The city has also expressed interest in selling the old firehouses as well. So even if the city owns that lot, they would probably sell that fire station. There's been talk about that.
I always paid attention, I guess, to page 134 and not 133, because it's future development site. So obviously it's been going on, well, we had this done in 21, so.
So
How
striking
big a swath is that?
parking lot
Not
north.
have acreage, I mean, it's got a scale, but I don't have a.
Okay.
Okay.
Bummer.
So Charlie, on the repair, repave and striping, do you have timetables for those?
We're hoping to get the parking lots striped. The one that's already been paved, hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then pave the other parking lot sometime this summer. Get it striped once it cures a little bit.
Cool. So, mid-June for the striping. Repair and stripe lot by type.
Do you know what the cost yet? Have you calculated by chance the cost for that
I have not.
lot? Okay. Greg had mentioned the batting cage, the outdoor batting cage there. Do you have a good handle on what needs to get done when he talks about the repair of that? Has he defined what that is?
So, he wanted, the floor for the old batting cage was inverted for the balls to come back to the machine. Well, he wanted that filled in, so we filled that in with asphalt, repaired some of the fencing, and he's gonna buy netting, and that's all he wanted, was to be able to, for kids to go in there and be able to throw the ball and just hit, you know, you would have a pitching barrier, cage, and, you know, throw the ball to the kids.
Oh.
That was his, and so it's just about done.
That's awesome.
All right. Do you want to just ask him about the obstacles to them funding the netting, or while you're talking, or I can ask him about it?
No,
If that's the only thing left, I thought there was more to it, but it sounds like you filled in that area. I knew
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was-
it's
He's
a
been
little,
busy.
it's good.
No.
The parks got, you know, our parks crew is very small, 6 guys, plus the lead man, and
They rock it out.
they've been super busy. And streets and stormwater, that's the other 3 divisions I manage, and, I use them to help out too, because parks is just overloaded. It's, there's so much that needs to be done that, you know, they're just way behind them, so,
We need more
yes.
bodies. Badly.
Bleachers we've talked about, receptacles will be a part of, benches and tables will already be covered. I think we had mentioned before about adult exercise experience.
Julie, do you wanna tackle that with Jason, or?
He really said they didn't have it when we talked to him. Remember when he talked, they really,
They had more of like the Ninja Warrior type stuff.
So
and
do
he
you wanna look-
suggested a different company, actually. He said they were kind of linked with a different company. It's somebody else, actually. It wasn't like under him. It was some other,
I can check and I'll copy you on that email with him.
okay, can you send me any vendors that are approved?
Yep, yep.
I would be interested in seeing those rather than ones that aren't approved.
I could send
The
you
one
some
that he's-
information on that also.
Yeah, the one he sent, Jason said too, is approved. I had a conversation slightly with him, but
I'm sure there are others, because he, you know, mentioned.
I'll get with him and see who he's got, and then get with Jason and I'll just copy you on all that, so.
A lot of them don't, the problem is they don't, okay, just go ahead and send me. Is there a place where I can look them up?
Not really. I had to go through finance and ask Sam.
Is there a place that you can call in the state or check with them?
again, I have to ask Sam, I don't know. That's
There's not a website or anything?
Not that I know of.
You can go to, you can just look up playground exercise equipment, commercial playground exercise equipment, and that'll bring up some things. There's,
I have plenty of those things, but I don't have them approved by the
She
state.
wants to know if it's state, if
Approved
they're state
vendors.
contracted.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. If there's a
I can ask-
website to go for those vendors.
I'll ask Sam if there is a website that I don't know about, but she knows about. Maybe it is.
Or if there's somebody I could call at the state, I'd be willing to call, and I just don't wanna go down that route again and find a great place and not have it be a vendor and then
Right,
waste my time.
I'll find out, and send it to you.
And then this last item, and I'll open it up for other ideas. I think it's important for us to at least evaluate lights, being able to light up a field. I know what those lights mean for the soccer kids to be able to play night games. It's the highlight of their season. I know lights were always a big deal for me when I played at Diamond 8 as a kid. I think somewhere, and it's, I wouldn't say just at Goldman, I think somewhere we need to have a conversation with Greg about the appropriate place for a lighted field. And I don't know if that's going back to Diamond 8 and doing it, or someplace out at Goldman.
There's a company that again, at the Parks and Rec conference, that specifically will come out, no charge to us, and see what our layout is or whatever, and work with them and create an actual plan within that budget that's allocated.
For lights?
For lights specific for baseball, sports arenas, things like that,
Yeah.
So the other thing was scoreboards, the scoreboards over at Goldman. I'm only piggybacking on that, and that's okay, but when I was out there yapping to him, I was like, what are you thinking light-wise, Greg? And then he looked at those scoreboards, and he was like, well, can we get the scoreboards working? I said, I don't know, you gotta look at them, and he understands the navigation of that. I might suggest to Greg that Greg gets hold of Jerry. Jerry has a contact for someone who can come out and look at lights.
That they then might know somebody that does the scoreboard stuff, so,
Yeah, I think
That's
that's fine.
I'm just gonna, because I'll give Greg a call tomorrow about a couple things, and trying to hook up with him and just say, hey, man,
Yeah,
at least get a feel on what's going on with it.
I was really impressed with the modern, how, the lights that they have these days.
Because he is still perplexed about that back building, I think it's it, the west building at Goldman, having, a trigger box in there and having outlets, but no power. Do you-
Duke removed the meter, they took everything.
Gotcha. So, before they start trenching, if they're gonna spend the bucks somewhere, right, we should have a layout of where other electricity needs may be. That's why I wanna, try and jump ahead of him, cause I don't know when all that was gonna take place. He was trying to watch games. I did not have a business meeting with him that day. I just wanted to see how it was going, but he brought up some stuff.
I'm wondering if we can, this is my networking brain working, if we can somehow engage Duke in a way to come alongside this project?
Good luck.
I mean, you don't
It
think?
ain't the old Duke,
No,
Doris.
it's
No?
not.
They were really, when Tim Abbott was there, please, you do what you think you need to
I mean,
do.
if you
got
have-
connections,
I was
you do
gonna
what
say
you
no
gotta
harm in trying.
Yeah.
do. No harm in trying. You
All
do
they
it.
can do is say no, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yep, hook up.
Go ahead
See
and
if I
see,
can see,
finding the right person,
Right.
that's always the key.
right.
Because I forget who, I don't know if you gave me the contact or whoever, and talked to her, and there, there's no, what we used to call in-kind work, right? And they just really don't do that much of it. I think they're still very tight with abilities first.
Yeah,
That I know they are,
there's a
but,
board member on, yeah.
so, but no, knock yourself
Let me
out,
see.
do what you wanna do.
Okay, I will try.
One thing about Goldman is we always have in a late July, August, Pilot Chemical sends out a crew that's willing to work hard if there's a project like painting another fence or something.
What about painting that one building back there? It doesn't look real fresh. I mean,
Right.
Well-
it seems to be okay, but I mean,
This is where we also need to keep Greg, because I need to have a conversation with him, because I'll just say it now. There's still conversation with this Baraka church, and I know he can't predict attendance and what's going to happen to Goldman. But in a way, I'm kinda like looking at him going, well, what are they telling you over at Baraka? I mean, is this serious? And if it happened, would you move? Not that what we were going to do would not be improvements no matter what, not that we maybe could get another user group over there, which he will have to kind of accept. I mean, if they move on to another location, here's this pretty prime piece of property, if we do what we'd like to do over there, that needs occupancy. And I feel like there needs to be a little bit more of a conversation with him on, I hate to say it like the commitment, I know his commitment's there, but what is he really thinking here, 5 years from now, 4 years from now?
What about having a conversation with Baraka?
That's between them. I mean, if that's,
I mean, just to find out what they're interested in, where their needs are.
you're happy to give them a call. That's a conversation I'm not too interested in right now, just because of what we have in front of us. But for Greg, I just want him to know, I mean, he knows our commitment, but.
It would be awful if we spent all this money on baseball, and all of a sudden baseball's moved to a different place, and.
I mean, there's always leagues though, trust me. You
Yeah.
know, always have leagues that need fields.
Well, you have to have some, but you also have to have some commitment from the city. And are you going to have a salesperson or not? Are you going to advertise these user parks or not? And,
Right.
you know, that's a whole nother topic. Does anybody else have any other thoughts about a due list or for the due list?
Well, this is kind of a stupid thing, and it has nothing to do with equipment, but I drove by Goldman today, and I was looking, and it is always, made me think every time I drive by whichever street I'm on, especially if you're on University, that looks like one of the hottest parks that we have, because there aren't any trees. And I was thinking, I know you can't have trees like over by the ball field, but I was wondering if we could put trees along Roosevelt. Like maybe a row of trees in there, and it shouldn't interfere, I mean, that's not where the, and it might make it like cooler. That's all I was thinking. It was like, can we add some trees,
That would
and
be
maybe
cool.
even some strategically placed other trees, but for sure maybe a line of trees in there. And I just thought.
I would want Ally involved in those conversations, but I agree 100%.
I mean, I just.
It's under item number 2,
Yeah.
Okay,
canopy and trees, new trees.
well, you asked about that, and I was just.
No, I know it's part of number 2.
All right.
Improve the tree canopy and identify opportunities for new trees.
I know we
We
had,
agree.
we had talked about having Ally come to a meeting to talk for June or July.
Dude, let's, well, you know, if we're gonna do, let's, one group at a time, let's get dream catchers over here.
And then July.
And then July, yeah,
Okay.
we'll leave her alone till July, let her
Okay.
cool off a little bit.
Cool.
I do have one, it's not really in the park, it's kind of like, if we do have people coming for tournaments, like, and they're coming from 75, and they're coming down Roosevelt, you can't turn left there to get to Goldman. Maybe some more signage that shows that you can go down and make a U-turn to come back up, to turn right. Maybe
That's a
some
very good point.
signage that there is another parking lot in the back, cause some people don't know.
That's true, because you don't know how to get there when you're
Yeah.
coming around the
I'm
front.
just thinking of people that aren't from here that we're gonna try to bring from other towns that
So
don't
more
normally-
signage for the back parking lot.
Yeah,
But let's remember, signage doesn't always help
Yeah.
with logic.
that's true. But they can't say that it wasn't there.
Exactly, no. And, you know, we talked about that gate over there, Charlie. I think you and I had that topic, you know, do we,
Remove it.
you know, well, do we use it though? Do we, but, you know, there's no one around. Cops, you know, they're busy enough as it is,
Yeah.
but the gate's there. But, you know, it's never, I don't think it's really ever closed, but I don't know if there's a big problem with that or not. But I applaud that big time, with the
Yeah,
signage of
great
additional
idea.
parking.
Yeah.
Well, especially coming down the hill, I was even thinking if
Yeah,
you
we-
turned on the street
Can't
prior to
turn
that,
left, You're not allowed.
no,
but
the street prior,
Go around.
and you go around into the
Yeah.
neighborhood
Yeah.
and come back on Goldman that way.
Yeah.
This is a way to get there.
Anyone
can't
else
get there
have
from
any
here.
other thoughts on Dave's list?
I'll create a spreadsheet like we did,
It's there.
you already did it.
That's where I took this from.
Awesome.
We just have to, we'll just have to
Down there
update
in front of
it.
AK.
And everyone did get in their email the mission statement. That I wanna applaud Dave for putting together, which I thought was pretty good and pretty, I think it was important.
I didn't get one.
Doors, no, what the heck?
I'm not in the loop, I guess.
I know. And speaking of that, because that has been brought up.
You're talking about the one for Bolton?
Yeah. You didn't get the one from Gold? If you notice in the work master plan, there is an entrance off of Roosevelt
Mhm.
into Gold on that back parking lot.
Is,
Behind the fire station?
No,
Or,
well, so here's the corner of Highland and Roosevelt, right there, into that
Oh.
back parking lot.
wow, okay.
Now, I don't know, that's a suggestion, that doesn't mean there's easement though,
That's,
right? That would be a whole ringamarane of surveying and purchasing or right of way and all of that, so.
and is that a smart thing to do and all those kinds of things?
Yeah.
Safety, pulling out on the,
Any other suggestions for Dave, for his list? Anything else we need to look at? I think it's pretty long list, I'd like to get like through half of it.
Yep.
And I think we'd be accomplishing some stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
With some true verbiage to it and results. If there's nothing else,
Do we need
events.
to engage that neighborhood?
That's what- yeah,
Yes,
good.
yes, thank you.
so they should come to the next meeting as well.
Yeah,
Maybe we just do the neighborhood and Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher can come as part of that.
They can, or if you have your contacts too, we just need to make, and I
I'll
told.
talk to them.
Yeah, and I told Michelle, I said, hey, we gotta get hooked up, so
Yeah.
you understand what we are thinking of doing.
I'll talk with them.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you, but
So
let's
engage the neighborhood.
engage the neighborhood, we have enough time, right? To-
There's a couple churches over there that I can immediately contact and say, hey, can you help me get the word out? And they'll help get the word out.
Okay,
So-
because that might be a tough one, just because of how it's spread out, you know?
And I know quite a few people that live over there too, so
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
reach out to them.
Could we meet at a church?
Good point.
We
I
can't
mean-
meet in here if we get a good sized crowd.
Or down in council chambers again. It has to be
Mhm.
recorded.
Council chambers would work.
I just do it that way again, David, that's okay.
Okay.
He
So-
wasn't
I
there the
think-
first one. You
I
weren't-
think-
I'll
you
create
missed that.
another flyer. I'll get it
When
to the
we
right
did Sherman.
people and we'll
You
see who
weren't there.
I was
shows
gonna
up.
say, I
there
can
in
help
Shaker.
us out.
Were you there in that one?
Thank you.
I'll work on that this week.
Okay.
I think if there's a commitment to the neighborhood, we're offering
I
them a
think-
spot to talk.
Especially along where the park is, there's a lot of those families that are engaged
Mhm.
already.
I think we'll get a big turnout.
Oh,
We invite
probably
them.
more than Sherman even.
Way more, yeah.
Yeah. So, cool.
Events and parks,
We'll just keep it real quick. I included flyers to all the events that are coming up. This past Movie in the Park started off last week and we had hundreds of people show. It was insane how many people showed up to that. That's never happened with Movie in the Park. I mean, we have a good crowd typically, but not like that. So that was really awesome.
good for you.
This Friday, we have, Food Truck Friday. Those are always good. I don't know how I'm gonna pick where I'm gonna eat. I know, Steve, you're excited about that, cause there's multiple,
No, I just know you got the lobster truck coming in, so there's gonna be some local businesses not real happy. That's all right.
Not listed on this flyer that added on is the Schmitz, sausage truck is also coming. So that's a good lineup. June, Movie in the Park is, we've partnered, that's the launch of also Juneteenth, that's gonna be happening, that whole weekend. So Douglas Park on that Saturday, the 8th of June, will be the big festival they do for Juneteenth. The 9th, they're doing something called Soul Food Sunday, and that's gonna be downtown at Governor Square and partnered with Miss Jade's Soul Food. Then June 28th, Food Truck Friday is Red, White, and Blues. We have Teeny Tucker. She is award-winning. I mean, everyone knows for the most part, who Teeny Tucker is. That's gonna be a huge crowd, I guarantee it. So, launching into June and July, but I just included June this time as Arts in the Park. We have close to 200 kids already signed up for it. Now I'm looking for volunteers, so anybody that wants to help volunteer for that. I picked activities and things like the Cool Critters. We have someone come in with Cool Critters. and we're rotating the parks, basically. We're really gonna showcase off our parks this summer. The craft is the day that I really need adult help on those days, doing different crafts, and Michael's Crafts here locally is going to be helping with sponsoring that as well. So kickball's a big thing. Paul Lawley is spearheading the city staff to be the kickball teams against the kids, so that should be really mature the entire time, I'm sure.
And have a couple EMTs stand by.
Exactly.
On some snaps, dips.
We are doing, for June, I'm really excited about this. We are doing Field Trip Fridays. We are gonna partner with the Field House on, the new Field House place, downtown, to take kids in there and do, field trips in there where they can get physical. They're basically charging us $5 a kid. We're gonna cover that. And there's mini golf and all sorts of really cool things to do that. We're mixing in Field Trip Fridays too. We're gonna, a couple of the restaurants are gonna do kits where we can show up and kids can make pizzas or anything like that on certain days. We are doing June 20th and 21st, day of service around town, so we'll get with you, where kids can clean up or get with you. Projects that they can do, we're gonna engage them into serve our town, by cleaning it up in different areas, different projects with what they can do on that. So, all ages can do that. That's something I do with my kids, and I've always done with my kids every year, so now we're gonna expand it to the whole city, with all the kids during this. Yoga, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. So June and July, I will come up for air at some point. Just bear with me as we figure that out. Farmers Market starts up in June, June 2nd and 16th. We're doing every other Sunday. I think, based on the vendors alone, we have close to 30 vendors that are signed up, and most of them are local farmers, which is.
Where's that?
That'll be in our downtown where the bus depot lot is. It worked out really
Okay,
well
back
there.
behind.
Sunday's pretty much a ghost town downtown, so I'm hoping it kind of revives it a little bit and gives some life. I'm hoping for that.
On Sunday.
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
Sundays, which when we did last year, I did a survey to see what the community wanted, and they wanted it on the weekends, but I didn't wanna compete with other side cities that were already doing Saturdays. So I, asked vendors, and the vendors were like, do it on Sunday, we don't have a market, we could come and be part of that. So it was a win-win
That's
to
awesome.
Sunday,
I
so.
didn't think about that.
Yeah, and hopefully next year, if we land it and it's good on Sundays this year, we're gonna do every Sunday next year is the plan. So, we can.
Does it work out well back there?
Oh, it's a perfect location for it, it really is. So we're doing it 10 to 2, which some churches were like, why are you doing it during church? And I'm like, well, you can come before and come right
Or
after.
after?
So,
Some of us don't go to church.
right, some of us need to go
Yeah,
to church,
first day.
Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't say I
over.
didn't need to go to church. Just saying.
So I'm excited, just bear with me, cause as you can see, this is a busy time for me, so I will work on all the other stuff, but just keep in mind, I may.
Dave, you brought up something, and it's not to call anyone out, but you had mentioned the last food truck. It got canceled because of rain.
Mhm.
Then it happened the next Friday,
Mhm.
but you went to
I
a city
couldn't find it.
website?
Really?
It was not, I went to the city website.
So I probably
To-
did not get it updated, the change on the city website.
So
That's
where
good
should I-
information.
Where should I have gone?
So on social media, there's a, are you on Facebook?
I try not to be.
But if you are, but now that I know that, I will make sure that does get.
This was just
into-
simply because
No,
I was.
that's good information.
I was unaware of the city website. I don't even know where to go for the city. I just kinda go back to your event
Well,
page.
usually it's
I
on the
can't
front
find anything
page
on
if
the
stuff's
city
coming
webpage.
up. On the
Yeah.
city website, you see what's,
So if you go to the city website now, it's linked to the city's Facebook page. So you should be able to see any updates that come on there now. But I don't know if it was necessarily then. So we announced it, the change of date.
yeah, and I went to the calendar,
Yep.
a calendar of events, and it wasn't on the calendar of dates.
The original date was. but
It
that
was, the
is,
original date was, but not.
But not the makeup. You're absolutely right. So
Okay.
that's good information.
It's all good.
Do you have
For sure.
Instagram as well?
Yes. It's, City of Middletown.
So it's up on that as well?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. But that's really good information, and I will try to stay up on that better. Now, movies in the park, if, we will always, we worked out with prime time as well, that if it rains on that date, we're moving it in there every time there's a rain date for that. So it will stay on that date no matter what, we just move it indoors. So it was a great partnership with them. Excited about that. Other than that, that's a lot, but that's it for events for,
You're right, that's a lot.
Do you have to pay for Teeny Tucker?
we did. But I called in the paper, so we got a good deal.
Oh. No, I'm just
No,
curious.
so,
I mean,
yeah,
if
we
she's
did.
at that good of an act, I suspected.
She.
Do you have to
was
pay the Wonderlands?
Yes, we pay all of our musicians.
Okay.
Both incredible, so, I have
No,
connections.
they're good. Based on what you said about her, I thought you must be paying her to come, if she's gonna
Oh,
draw
yeah.
in the crowd.
Yep, Yep.
Do your food trucks pay you to come?
they do, they pay $50, that's it. We keep it low on purpose, because I feel like they're doing us a favor by coming and creating a cool experience, so, but they do have buy-in, so that they don't just cancel on you either.
Yeah, I'm curious why none of these sign up for the Ohio Challenge. I see names on here I've never seen before.
Like what do you want?
No, I don't, I mean,
Whoever you want, I will contact and get for you. And you
I don't
just
know,
tell me.
okay.
And we'll, if you don't mind, let's keep rolling. Anything else?
No.
For your events?
No,
Okay.
that's it.
Now, the call to vote on Sherman Park decisions.
We already did that.
Right, I just wanna make sure
Mhm.
we're square, and if everyone would take a look at April 15th, minutes, not very quickly, take a look at it, make sure that Jerry took good notes.
Oh, good note taking.
You're good note taker.
Everything may not be spelt correctly. It's okay. So Danielle, on the engaging neighborhoods for Goldman, I'm gonna put you and me on.
Yeah, perfect.
We're making good time, guys.
There's no questions? I don't wanna rush anybody. I kinda went over it.
Motion to
She
approve
sends
the
it-
minutes.
She kinda sends it to me. Look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Someone second? And no discussion about it? Take a vote?
You take, sorry. Steve Lewis,
Yes?
Matthew Armbruster, Dave Pierce,
Yes.
Danielle Woodward,
Yes.
Julie Kaufman.
Yes.
Thank you. Board comments, I'll go to my left, Danielle.
I don't really have any comments, I just wanted to say thanks to Jerry for representing us at the council meeting, I think he did a great job.
It was a little bumpy start,
You
but
did great.
Julie?
Yeah, a couple things. There are I don't know who to talk to about this, but there are 2 trees in Smith Park on the northeast corner that are dead. One's dead in a doornail. I mean, there's nothing green on it anywhere, and I just thought I'd let somebody know.
Well, I'll have that looked at tomorrow.
If you go up on Milton, I mean, you'll see the one sits right on Milton, and then there's one just a little inside that doesn't have anything green on it either.
That's, did you say Smith?
I lied, Sunset,
Okay, because you said.
Sunset's on Milton.
Yeah.
I might keep saying
Oh, yeah.
I
Just
like
don't
it.
intersect.
Sorry, up on Milton at the corner, closer to Kenwood.
It's like one of the big sycamores?
No, they're not huge, but they're good size. They're, 30 feet up or so, but
I know exactly which ones you're talking about.
one is really bad and the other one isn't. I mean, it's dead too. So there's 2 dead ones there. And then I wanted to ask about, tennis nets. Gardner has 1 net, but it's in terrible, terrible shape. And there's 2 courts there, so they really need 2 nets. And Miami has none. There are none on there. Also, when I was looking at Miami Park, it only has one backboard. And only one, I mean, it has one, it's got a full-length court, but there's only one backboard at one end.
No post at the other end?
Nah, I don't know whether somebody ripped that sucker off or what. And I know that's a park since they added all those pine trees, that sometimes it's hard to see what's going on unless you get in there, but, yeah, and it is on the Fleming side. Yeah, it's on the Fleming side where all that is. But for sure, the tennis nets, I mean, everything's sitting there, but there's no net across there. I saw somebody hitting a ball back and forth with no net. You know, there was a man with a couple kids.
At Gardner.
No, he was at Fleming.
Fleming.
Gardner, there's at least one net, but Fleming has, or, Miami has no nets. It's completely barren. That's it.
David?
Charlie, there was a pole erected at Jacob Park, a wooden pole. Do you know what that's for? It's by the planter area.
Not Ralph.
Okay.
Can't think of what.
I think the metal posts that were painted yellow at Smith Park look fabulous. I don't know who did that, but that,
Seasonals, or seasonal employees.
it looks great. Very nice improvement. And now this comment's not critical, because I know how busy those guys in the parks have been, but I hope we get the opportunity to clean up the planter area at the four-way intersection inside of Smith Park. I hope that's on your
Yes.
to-do list, because that's too nice, it gets too many looks to let it get, to keep it overgrown.
Where's this?
Smith.
Four-way.
Four-way.
The four-way when you first pull up.
Did you come in?
Yeah.
We talked about that, the planters earlier tonight, about who does the planters for the city.
It's
and who-
Ally, right? That whole
It looks awesome when it's.
Oh my gosh,
when
they
it's
do.
nice, it's such a, it makes it
They do
look
such a good
great.
job.
It-
Yeah,
It
I
is
know
wonderful.
that they were working on those planter boxes last week for downtown and all that as well, so
Mhm.
it's not critical, just an observation. That's all, thank you.
Just real quickly, it was mentioned by the mayor, Tree City, got to go up, Tip City, super good group. I would encourage maybe all of us make that venture, just so you get a taste of it, because the ODNR's pretty involved in that, and once again, you know, there's some cities doing things a little differently with their tree canopy, but, you know, Ally works her tail off, behind the scenes to keep our status. They're sticklers, with keeping up with, you know, what the requirements are. A lot of talk about, you know, and I, again, please bear with me, I bring this up also to help just with our amount of time we spend on our trees. But Bradford pears, that was a big topic, that the mayor, I think, actually, was surprised that maybe I knew something about it, and then it was being re-vocalized up there. But some really super nice people, sat with some very close towns, some cities that were very interested in Middletown, and heard good things and heard some other things, but we were able to kind of go through it and talk to them. Montgomery was represented, they were at our table, and, you know, again, kind of comes down to money. But I'll just put my 2 cents in on those islands over at Smith Park. I don't know why you guys fight them. I don't know why you do it. I would tear them all out and put grass there and be done with it, because it's nothing but a pain in the butt. It's been a pain for 20 years over there.
Where are you talking about?
A four-way cross-section there where you come
I always
in. I
thought-
would not fight that thing.
But it would be nice to have that, a new landscaping design, because that's the entrance to the.
Mhm.
And I get that, Charlie, I get that, but a couple matching trees and a couple boulders, call it a day.
Yeah.
They wanna get in, go play lacrosse, play this, play that, and I get it, when it looks nice. I just think I mean, it's just a lot of work. Anyway, take a motion to adjourn?
So.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it, thank you, Steve, thank you, Doris, thank you, Charlie,
Oh, you're-
please.